Hello friends, today's video is about REST operator in JavaScript. REST operator is also known as REST parameter. It was introduced in ES6. It allows us to pass any number of arguments to a function. Let's look at the problem that is faced by developers prior to the introduction of REST operator. Let's create a function sum that takes two arguments. This function returns the sum of arg1 and arg2. Now let's call the sum function and pass 1 and 2 as arguments to it. When we run this code, we will get 3 as an output. Now let's call this function with 3 arguments. Can you guess what will be the result? Actually, we will get 3 instead of 6 because some function does not know about the third argument. Let's solve this issue by specifying the third argument and modify our code. Now, if we call some function with 3 arguments, we will get the correct result. But when we call the sum function with 2 arguments, we got nan, not a number. This is the first problem. The second problem is, suppose we want the sum of 4 numbers. In that case, we have to again modify the sum function. You can see that when I have passed 4 arguments to some function, we got 6 instead of 10. This type of coding is not at all scalable and feasible. The better way of doing it is to use REST operator. So let's look at the syntax of REST operator. Function keyword followed by function name and then 3 dots followed by parameter name and then function body. Here parameter name is a REST parameter. Before the REST parameter you have to specify 3 dots. Let's rewrite the sum function using REST parameter. Here REST parameter is args. There are 3 dots before it. Now this args will behave like an array, so we will use for of loop to iterate through it. Let's update the sum function. I am declaring a variable total whose initial value is 0. Now I am writing for of loop because args is now an array. So I'll calculate the sum. At the end of this function, I'll return the total value. Let's run the code. Here you can see that we are getting the correct result. When we have passed 2 arguments, we got 3 as an output because sum of 1 and 2 is 3. When we have passed 3 arguments 1, 2 and 3, we got 6 because the sum of 1, 2 and 3 is 6. And when we have passed 4 arguments 1, 2, 3, 4, we got 10 as a result. Let's see what happens behind the scene. Let me just remove this code. Actually, REST parameter converts all the arguments to an array, and because of this, we are able to loop through all the arguments one by one. Let's print the REST parameter to better understand it. Let me just remove console.log to get rid of that undefined in the output. Now let me clear the console and run it again. You can see that all the arguments are converted to an array. Look, we have passed 1 and 2 as arguments, and we got 1 and 2 as they are converted into an array. We passed 3 arguments. These 3 arguments are converted into array, and here we have passed 4 arguments. So these 4 arguments are converted into array. There is one constraint with REST operator. The constraint is this REST parameter must be the last argument of a function. If you do not follow this rule, you will get syntax error. Let me show you what type of error you will get if you do not follow this constraint. Now, let me just clear the console and run it again. Look, this REST parameter is the second argument to the function. The error that we have got is syntax error. REST parameter must be last formal parameter. We have to remember one thing. We have to specify REST parameter as the last argument. Okay, now when we run this code, the code will run correctly. Now let me just explain you. When we have passed 2 arguments, then the first number 1 is assigned to arg1, the number 2 is assigned to arg3. To this function we have called 2 arguments, so args will not receive any arguments, so it's an empty array. But when we have called some function with 3 arguments, so in that case the number 3 goes to args, and we can see that the array has only one element. And when we have called some function with 4 arguments, then you can see that 3 and 4 are passed to args, to REST parameter args, and they are converted into an array. So this is all about REST parameter. If you have found this video useful, then don't forget to press the like button, and if you have any question, feel free to comment, and don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel to keep receiving such an amazing and useful videos. Thank you for watching this video.